Welcome all to the weekly outlook. Boone here from EWPRO. Getting straight into the weekly outlook, starting with the DXY on the daily. So we got that A, B, C. We really need to go down onto the lower time frames to see how if this wave here is over that wave C. It can come down to this 100 fib or even this trend line. On the H4, nothing's really changed since last week. We're looking for that WXY, X2 and a Z down. We have that bear hidden there. So we have this bear hidden here. And so looking for this one down in here, and then that may be over, and then you could look for the buy. The only other way you could look for the buy is after this top here is broken. So you'd be waiting for this to be top to be broken and then a correction, and then you could look for a buy. But at this stage, you really have to look for a sell for that bear hidden. There was a trade I put out in a daily outlook with the group. There was a trade in here on the lower time frame, but just go down to that because there's really not much on the H1. I mean, this may be an A, B, C in here for a flat. But if I just go down to the M15, you can see we had a little flat in here. So we get a WXY. So you'd be waiting for a bear hidden here. And then you could look for that wave Z down in here. AU on the daily. This is really messy. It's really unclear what structure this correction here is. So I was looking for that A, B, C. We got that. Then I was looking for the A, B, C up to that 100 pip. We had this nice impulse up. So you can really only buy until this low here gets broken. We got this A, B, C here. So I'd be expecting another one up here. And this may even turn motive and give like 5 up to that 100 pip. That's still possible. And that's the way I'm sort of looking at it. This has turned into a larger correction than I thought it would. I was just sort of looking for a little correction in here to buy, but instead it gave a large correction. I don't think there's any buy setups on it. That's the problem. There is no buy setup on it. We're looking at a regular flat as an A, B, C. So again, I don't think there's any buy set up on it at this stage. This is still looking rather bearish in here. You'd really have to go down to the lower time frame. You may be getting a bull hidden in here for another one up. Yeah. EU on the daily. So we've got this A, B, and we're getting this C up. Ideally, it gets up to that 100 pip. It may only get up to that trend line. We don't have a cross down here yet, so that's good. On the H4, we're looking for upside still. We have that ball hidden, like I've been mentioning last week. Even we had this ball hidden here, so I'm looking for that WXY X2, and we get that Z up. Again, you'll have to be rather careful because this here can be an A, B, C as a flat in here and then fall over on you. So you really need to go down to the lower time frames. And if you get a correction in here or a little flag, you can look for the buy. So you really need to wait for a buy set up in here on the lower time frames to look for the buy for that wave Z up on the H4. GU on the daily. This one played out a little bit better. We got that A, B, C. It went up to that trend line and bounced off that trend line. Is this wave in here over? Well, we need to go down to the lower time frame to see if it's over. And as you can see, I'm still looking for a possible Z up. This low here hasn't been broken, so we have that bull hidden there. So again, really looking for a buy. H1, there really isn't anything. Again, you'll have to be careful because this can be an A, B, C in here for the flat, and then you get like the A, B, C. So again, you really need to go down to the, I'll just go down to the lower time frame. So we had this flat in here, A, B, C, we were looking at on Friday. So we got an A, well, a W, X, Y. Now we're getting, you'd have to go down to a lower time frame again, but it looks like we're getting an A, B, C in here. So you could put a buy stop just above that top. And if you get triggered, well, this will be your stop loss. Yeah, for the sell, you really need to break this low, give a little correction in here or flag, and then you could look for a sell for that larger flat. But yeah, I'll be more interested in the buy at this stage for that wave Z up on the H4 with that bull hidden present. NU on the daily. This is very similar to AU. It's very tricky. You know, we had that nice A, B, C in here, and looking for that A, B, C up to that 100 pip, but instead we got all this sideways movement. H4 has this low been broken. See, we got a bull hidden in here as well. We've got that bull hidden there. So again, we may get a wave Z up. It's quite tricky because it's like the others. We get an A, B, C in here as a flat before we get another one down. So you really need to watch the price action on Monday to see if you get a buy setup. If I just go down to the lower time frame, see if we're getting a bull hidden in here. I think we are getting a bull hidden in here just. So again, you'd have to go right down onto the lower time frames, wait for an impulse, and if you get a little flag or a correction, you could look for a buy. It'd be quite dangerous to put a buy stop at the break of that top there on this one, because the stop loss is going to be too high for the risk reward. So yeah, you'd really want a little correction in there to buy, and for the sell, you'd really want it to break that low, give you a correction or flag, and then you could look for a sell. Yeah. GY on the daily. Oh, looks like I've taken the fib off. But we're looking at that like WXY, X2, and then a Z up. Internally, we've got this WXY. We may be getting the X2 now, and then we get a Z up in here to finish off the larger wave Y. Finish off this larger wave Y. Really, on the H4, like I said last week, we can really only buy it. We're waiting for a correction in here and then more upside. I mean, there was a sell scalp on it in here, and if I just, I'll have to go down to the lower time frame again, because so we got this like W, X, Y, X2, and we're getting a Z down. If we get the bullish divergence and then like a trend line break and a bullish setup, well, then you could look for the buy to at least go and break that top for the A, B, C. Then you'll have to be careful, because, you know, on the daily, we're at the top of the market. So, and we're looking for a larger correction. So yeah, it's really only scalping just to break this top, and then it can fall over. So you'll have to be careful. GY on the daily, this one here, it has sort of completed its structure. We're looking for that A, B, C. We got that C down. This C down in here broke below that ending point of wave A, which is fine, which is what we want it to do, and then it's come up above it. So this can be completed any time, this A, B, C. So now we have to start to be careful. Again, this was quite difficult because we got a nice impulse up, but a deep correction. It's given us a wave Y up. So we'd be waiting for another correction in here and another one up. Ideally, if we got the ball hidden, and I suspect we will get a ball hidden in here, and then if you got the buy set up where you could look for that one up in here just to break that top, you definitely want to be a break even as the break of that top, because, you know, it can fall over on you. Yeah, the CAD on the daily, this has been testing our patience for a very long time. Like I've mentioned, you know, we're looking for a correction of similar size to X1 over here in the X2. As you can see, the time factor there is complete. So we're looking for this up here. We're looking for that like W, X, Y, X2 and a Z up, ideally up to the 123.6 and then the 161.8 as your second target. But like I've been mentioning, you know, even if it doesn't go, even if it doesn't give us that Z up, we're still looking for at least that 100 fib here for an A, B, C. So yeah, it's going to be quite difficult to trade. And on the lower time frames, this really was difficult to buy, because like I said last week, this is looking corrective, but yet we're looking for this wave up. This was a very large correction. It has turned motive now, but we're getting a WXY. You really want to wait for an X2 and then a Z up, unless you go down to the lower time frames and scalp this in here. And you'd really have to be careful of that 100 fib. So yeah, it's more on the M15. You can sort of see a structure in here. We got like an A, B, and a C expanding flat. So if you got any bullish setup in here, a little flag, you could look for the buy. Other than that, you'd have to wait for this low to be broken for any sell. The Swissy on the daily. So we're looking at that A, B, C. It still can come down to this 100 fib or even this trend line here. Really need to go down to the lower time frame to see if this wave in here is over. And as you can see, it can be complete because we got a W, X, Y, X2 and the Z down. We had that bear hidden there, so we're looking for this wave Z down. That's complete, and we've come off of below, and we've got a nice impulse up. So just looking for a correction in here for a buy. This is quite messy. It's been quite messy in here, you know. So this may be the flat here complete, and we'll get at least an A, B, C. C on the H. Well, yeah. I'll just go down to the M15 to see what we're getting in here. We lost the bullish divergence in here on the M15, so you have to be careful. I dare say we won't get a bear hidden because, you know, we already had a bear hidden here. We had this bear hidden in here for this one down. So yeah, it makes it really tricky. You'd have to go right down onto the lower time frames if you're going to trade this at this stage. You know, because you may be getting some sort of an A, B, you get a C in here. You'd just be scalping as an A, B, C, but it may take off on you. So yeah, EG on the daily. So we're looking at that A, B, C. We really need to go down onto the lower time frames to see if this wave C here is over. We can sort of see like a WXY, get an X2, and we may get a Z down in here as an external, or an extended wave in the wave C. On the H4, like I said last week, well, I think a couple of weeks ago, you know, we had bullish divergence in here, nice impulse up, and I was just looking for a correction in here back to the 50 fib, and we could look for the buy. Instead, it's given a rather large, deep correction to this move here. So now it sort of turns it into more complex because this is looking like a B wave here. So we get like an A, B, C, and then we get an A, B, C for more downside, and this turns into a larger correction for more downside for another one down, which lines up to what I said on the daily. You know, this can be a larger correction for that wave Z down, that extended wave. So I dare say this is going to be quite complex. Give us a time factor for a larger correction and then more downside. So really, if you're trading this, you're really only scalping. You wouldn't want to be buying in here. You could sell the C down and the C up, like this A, B, this C down here you could sell, and this A, B, C up here you could buy. And then you could, you know, if you got a sell set up, you know, up here, you know, you could look for that larger wave Z down on the daily. WTI on the daily. So this is turn motive. Have we broken the top? We haven't quite broken this top here. It's very close. We have a bear hidden at this stage, but I dare say that top will be broken, and this will turn motive. I'll go down to the H4. We've got this WXY. We're in this wave Y. It's up to that 161.8. So I wouldn't be buying here. And we have that bearish divergence. So really, I'd be waiting for the X2, and then you could trade the Z up. If you're looking for the sell, you have to be careful because you'll be selling into a correction. So, yeah. The H1, we're getting all the bearish divergence. Like I said last week, this can be an A, B, C here, and we go and break the top. So, like I said last week, you have to be careful here. It was a sell last week, you know. We're looking for a correction in there. But we had to be careful because, you know, of that flat, possible flat. It's gone up and broken the top. which is fine, but you can't. It's very difficult to buy with all the bearish divergence. It becomes very risky, and we're up to this 161.8 here. So, yeah, I mean, if you got a flag, a nice correction, you could scalp, and you could keep on scalping, but yeah, it's risky. For the sell, you'd need a break below the low and a correction or a flag, and then you could look for the sell. Gold on the daily. So nothing's changed. We're looking for that A, B, C, A, B, C. So we're looking for upside, and then we get an A, B, C as a possible larger structure before we get the larger A, B, C. Up to those weekly targets, the 123.6 and the 161.8. This still is looking rather bullish in here. It's quite deep to this move here, but this is quite choppy, so it does look rather corrective. So we can look for a buy on this. The H1, we do have the bullish divergence, so that's fine. Really need to go down onto the lower time frame because we're getting a buy set up in here. It's come off of a low from non-farm payroll. We got that nice impulse up. If you get a correction in here or a flag, you could definitely look for at least an A, B, C, and it more than likely will take off on you. There's a high probability that it'll take off on you. So, yeah, you could either put a buy stop just above there, or you could wait for this structure in here to finish for an A, B, C, and then, look for your trade setup. If you're putting a buy stop here, you have to be careful because, as we know, in a B wave, that top can be broken, and then you still get a C down as a running or expanding flat before before it goes. So yeah, you have to take that into consideration how you're going to trade this. I can't go into how we trade, but yeah. Looking at silver, very similar to gold. This here, well, we got this. We had that bull hidden, so we're looking for this up here. We got that. We lost the bearish divergence here, so then I was just looking for a correction and more upside to go and break the top. We had a nice impulse here. We got that nice impulse up on the H4. I was looking for that WXY, an X2, and then a Z up. This has turned into a larger correction, but that's still fine. It still can give us a wave Z up. Well, not a wave Z up, but another one up, go and break that top. And ideally, it goes and breaks this top over here, for at least like an A, B, C, go and break that top. It's very similar to gold on this one. We had the bullish divergence in here. And on the M15, it's very similar to gold. We got a nice impulse up from non-farm payroll. If you look for a correction in here, you could look for the buy. Bitcoin on the daily. This is playing out like I was looking. We got that A, B, C in here. Ever since we got that, I was just looking for either a running or expanding flat. It turned into an expanding flat for an A, B, C with an extended wave C. So we got that WXY, X2, and we got this Z up. It's still looking bullish up here. It's already broken this top over here, so it technically it can be complete, but I mean, it is quite risky to buy because that top has been broken and we have the bearish divergence, but it's still looking bullish. And we still can get up to this first and the second target, like the 123.6 and the 161.8. The H4 is really not much. We don't have any bullish divergence. It looks like very similar to gold. You know, we got this from non-farm payroll on the H1. We got that bullish divergence, nice impulse up. This is rather deep though, so you know, this may become more complex, and we just get like a regular flat for an A, B, C, and then we get another one down because this is so deep to this wave here. So, but you never know, it can go. I mean, after this impulse here, I would have been just looking for a correction in here, back to the 50 fib, and then look for the buy. It's come quite deep. We do have like bullish divergence in between these two lows here as well. So if you went down onto the lower time frames, it may be giving you a buy setup. Yeah, it's not really giving us much of a buy setup. I mean, you'd have to go right down onto the lower time frames again. And the lower the time frame you get, the more risky it is. Like you may be getting some sort of an A, B, C in here. So, you know, for at least an A, B, C, it's really scalping. And like I said, on the daily, it's already broken that top, so it does become risky. S&P. So this is term motive. We got that WXY. Looking for an X2, and then we'll be looking for a wave Z up. It looks like we're starting to get some sort of a consolidation in here. So I'd be looking for that X2. This is actually giving us a sell setup here. If we go down to the H1, it's already complete. Yeah. So last week I was looking for an A, B. We were looking for a C down. It turned into a wave Y, and we got an X2, and we've already got the wave Z down. So now it becomes quite tricky. Because I dare say we'll get bullish divergence in here. So we may get a larger correction, and then you get an A, B, C. So you'd really have to wait for a larger correction, and then look for one down. And you know, on the daily, you know, we're looking for a larger correction. So it could be quite, if you're selling into this, you have to be careful because you're selling into a correction. It may be quite choppy, but yeah, if you're getting onto the first entry, yeah, that's the safest way. Getting in on the first entry, which, yeah, AU 200. I mean, this is quite tricky as well. I was looking for the A, B, C up to the 100 fib. We got this nice impulse up, but then we got this large correction in here. So I sort of had to change how I'm looking at it, and looking at it as an A, B, C in here. And then possibly an A, B, C with some sort of a larger flat before we get an A, B, C. So we have to really go down onto the lower time frame to see if this wave in here is over. On the H4, yeah, we can really only buy this. We got that nice impulse up, get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, give us some sort of a correction in here, and then, you know, you could look for the buy for another one up. On the H1, it's sort of similar to S&P, but this one hadn't given us the wave Z down. So we got some sort of WXY. We'll be waiting for an X2, and then you get that Z down. So if you got any sell set up, if I just go down to the M15, we may be getting we're not quite getting a sell set up here. And actually, yeah, we're getting a ball hidden here, so it may give another one up and then give us that sell. But if you got a sell set up, I mean, you want to be an experienced trader to be going down onto the lower time frames and looking for this to just go and break that low, because it's a wave Z down on the H1 that you're trading. So the FTSE on the daily sort of got that like A, B, C, looking for that A, B, C. This C down in here went below this ending point of the wave Z over here, which is fine. That's what we want. And then this larger C up here has gone up and broken the top. So like I said, this can be over, but this here, this low here never went and broke that low. So I'm looking for an A, B, C as a regular flat. Ideally, it comes up, just breaks that low, high, sorry, and then we get an A, B, C before we may get more upside, or that this may be the end and that turns motive, Unfortunately, it looks like it's fallen over. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more upside. If we go down to the lower time frames, it may still give us a buy setup. Yeah, we can really only buy it, very difficult to sell. We've got this higher high here. I'd be looking for some sort of an A, B in here, a C down. If we got an A, B, C, then you could look for the larger A, B, C. I dare say this is going to be quite choppy next week in a B wave, and then you get a C down. So yeah, that's what I'd be looking for, an A, B, C, before we got more upside, which would be in a couple of weeks. The DAX on the daily got that A, B, C as that expanding flat. Then you're looking for an A, B, C, some sort of a larger correction. Looking for downside, we've got all that bearish divergence. Like I've been saying for a long time, I wouldn't be buying this because it's only a matter of time before it falls over. We've got a nice impulse down here by the look of it on the lower time frame. It's more of a H1 trade. So yeah, this week I would be looking for a correction. We got bearish divergence. I'd be looking for a correction in here. If you got a correction in here, it'd be a nice opportunity to sell. Any sort of sell setup you get, I'd be looking for a sell. So I hope you enjoyed the weekly outlook. If you did, please hit the like button, share, subscribe. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.